So it's just amazing to me. The establishment protects its own. Do you think that's what Mika Brzezinski was saying? Do you think if, I don't know, say a Hillary Clinton aide or somebody who supported Hillary Clinton, for whatever reason, they were at the same event as Bernie Sanders and he put his hands on them from behind, smelled their hair, kissed them. You really think? And then that woman came out talking about it. You think Mika would be saying that? You think she'd be talking about, should we talk about that this is a Hillary Clinton supporter? I don't think so. Let's look at Jake Tapper, who was the first to interview Lucy Flores. He, too, jumped on this, political motivations bandwagon.
So, Assemblywoman Flores, you write in the piece that you wrote for The Cut that you know that people might accuse you of being politically motivated here. We should point out, you supported Bernie Sanders in 2016, running for president. He's running again. You attended a Beto O'Rourke campaign event yesterday. You've told us that you haven't endorsed any candidate yet. You haven't decided who you want to support. But how would you respond to somebody out there who says she's attending a Beto rally, she supported Bernie in 2016, politics might be at least partially motivating you here? What would you tell those people?
I would say politics was definitely the impetus. The reason why we're having these conversations about Vice President Joe Biden is because he's considering running for president. And frankly, the reason why I felt so compelled to finally say something was because over the years, as this behavior was documented, as it was frankly dismissed by the media and not taken seriously, that conversation was not coming up in the discussions about whether or not he would in a complete analysis of his history, of his record, as we go through the vetting process for all of these candidates, that important aspect was being left out. Mm-hmm. And it was being dismissed and it wasn't being acknowledged.
Right there, Jake Tapper did what, Fox News is famous for. Well, some people say, well, who are the people? So Jake Tapper's saying, well, can you see that, it could be said, some people might see it, that this is political expediency. Just come out and say, listen, to me, I wonder, is this political expediency? But again, at least give him credit. He knew that she's not actively supporting Bernie Sanders right now. She went to a Beto O'Rourke event, but it's the framing. Do you really think Jake Tapper would have said that if the roles were reversed? And that was, I don't know, Neera Tanden on? Claiming Bernie Sanders, full disclosure, I'm not saying that ever happened. Hypothesis. No, because the establishment protects its own. Jake Tapper knows Joe Biden. He's interviewed him before. They're all in one big club. So they're coming to the defense of one of their own. And by the way, I don't have evidence other than creepy photos, and there's a lot of them. I don't have evidence that Joe Biden has assaulted a woman. I don't have evidence that he's in the workplace. He's harassed women verbally or otherwise. So whether I like Joe Biden or not, we have to be fair. I do have evidence that he is inappropriately invading women's spaces. Women, adult women like Lucy Flores, and young girls. Just look at the photos. It's creepy. Okay, and what Lucy Flores said there is super important because she's saying it's always kind of been subtly underneath the surface. But nobody, it was never being discussed as part of his consideration. He's basically, for weeks on CNN and MSNBC, been painted as the front runner, even though he hasn't announced his run. So if somebody was made to feel uncomfortable by him and had their space invaded, her saying, yeah, it's political. You all are basically making him out to be the front runner and essentially pushing him. So would I come forward in a different circumstance when there's not a chance he'll be the Democratic nominee? I don't think that's a bad answer. She's not saying I'm doing it for Bernie. She's saying this is the person that right now, according to the polls, which I'm going to get to in a little bit, is the Democratic nominee or the front runner to be the nominee. So, let's also look at this. MSNBC has former senior counsel to then Senator and current Vice President Joe Biden, Claire DeMott on. Let's see what she had to say.
And I know you had a chance to listen, I think, to what Assemblywoman Flores had to say there. Do you believe that Joe Biden's response has been adequate? Do you believe that he or someone from his team should reach out to her?
I think his response has been adequate. He has said he did not think he did anything inappropriate. He certainly did not intend to make her feel uncomfortable. And he said, but he's listening, and he's listening very respectfully. I don't think it's necessary to reach out to her. We're having the conversation on public television.
She says she would love to hear from him or from somebody.
Yeah, she's made this a very public, coming out very publicly about this. She used the pronoun a lot, we. It's one person, Hallie, it's one person of an allegation that's 5 years old, and that cannot negate or change or diminish in any way Joe Biden's very strong record empowering women. I worked for him for 10 years.
Yeah.
There's no time in that 10 years, thousands of hours with him, on the train, in meetings, in town hall meetings, at colleges, at high schools. At no time did he cross a line. Joe Biden is a very warm, affectionate, friendly politician. I'm sorry she did not know that about him in the 20, 30 minutes she spent with him. He's not somebody when you meet, he doesn't like cross his arms and take a step back. He embraces people. That's who he is.
First of all, I don't actually think it's unfair that MSNBC or others have people on that have had positive experiences with Joe Biden. That's fair. I mean, I'm sure that there's women that have spent in the professional workplace with him who have sing his praises and never had a problem. So that's totally fair. But when she's talking about, you know, he's just an affectionate guy. No. Affection is when you meet someone for the first time, you give them a big old hug from the front, right? Oh, let me give you a big old hug because that's just the kind of guy you are. And your hug, you know, your hands are behind them, not near their head, not near the behind, just, you know, normal place where your hands would be for a hug in front of them. And then you let go, okay? That's affection. Affection is not standing behind somebody before they're about to go on stage, smelling their hair, and kissing them in the back. That's inappropriate and creepy. Period. So it's just, you know, it's kind of like it's selective. It's selective appropriateness versus how would they be responding if it was somebody else not in their club. Because to them, and I'm about to show you Whoopi Goldberg, to them, this is just how Joe is, and it's appropriate. This is just how he is. Well, I don't think they'd be saying that about somebody that they think ideologically is radical, or they think ideologically is a threat to the status quo. So you can't take these people seriously. And again, without any evidence, and when she says there's only one, well, be careful about that. Because I don't have any inside information, but when somebody's been in public life for that long, and when you see photo after photo of Joe Biden kind of touching up and smelling hair and all these things, be careful emphasizing there's only one, because we could be in for a series. And when you say, well, you know, she's doing it 5 years later, well, you know, a lot of people that accuse Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby did it decades later. So are you diminishing that a woman's coming forward? You know, this is not to the degree of what happened with Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby, but why diminish that? They're either telling the truth or they're not. So throwing out there, especially women, well, what's her motives? Why is she doing it 5 years later? Well, he was the vice president when it happened. Maybe she was scared to death. Maybe she didn't want to be ostracized politically. Maybe she thought people wouldn't believe her. Maybe. There's a lot of reasons people don't come out right away. So then there's the ladies of The View. And I'm not exactly surprised. This, to me, was the most egregious. Here we go.
So now Biden responded that in all his years on the campaign trail, he's never believed he's acted inappropriately. So he'll listen respectfully to Flores. But it was never his intention. Now, should she have spoken to him about this before she went on television about it? Or, I mean, is it, you know, listen, in the old days, we would call Joe, some folks of a certain age would say he's a little overly familiar.
Yeah.
Okay? But most politicians, when they're, you know, doing this with you, and, you know, they are. And Joe is a hands-on kind of guy.
Yeah, he is.
But I've never heard anyone, and she says she felt violated, and I have to take her at her word, but it would have been nice if she had turned to him and said, you know what, Jay, I don't really like this. Please don't do this. Or, not, Mr. Vice President, I'm not really comfortable with that. Something, because he's standing right there.
No, it's hard to say to somebody who's sniffing
No, it's
your
not.
hair.
Somebody touches you inappropriately.
But it wasn't. That's the point.
That's what she said. That's what she's saying.
I didn't.
Can we just say she does not say it rises to the level of sexual assault or anything of that nature. She does not claim this is a Me Too moment. So I think we need to be very clear on that because I think some people are interpreting it that way.
And let's also be clear
but
that
that's the point. That's the point. Is to get people to think about it like that. It does not rise to any of those things.
No, it's a long way from smelling your hair to grabbing your hoo-ha. I mean, let's tell the truth. But she felt annoyed or uncomfortable with it, and so we have to accept that. But I don't think it rises to the point what we've been listening to about Harvey Weinstein and the rest of these people. It just doesn't look like that. And, you know, we all know Joe Biden. He's been here. I remember when I met him in Florida before he was vice president, and he was so friendly. He's the close talker.
Yes.
He comes right up in your face and you're thinking, I hope my breath is good, you know. and more important, I hope his is.
Yeah.
And, you know, so he talks close. He touches
He's a
you.
toucher.
That's what he's like. And I feel it would be really unfortunate if we got rid of everybody who was just an affectionate kind of person. Those are nice people, too.
He's also been in public office for about 50 years of his life.
Yeah.
I do wonder if she could have sent him a letter.
Well, that's
right. Like send him a personal note to say, hey, this happened a few years ago. Now I feel confident in telling you about it. I don't want to make this public. I always wonder when these things come out, what is the motive for this person? Is it simply to let people know I was uncomfortable, which you could have done in private, or is it because you maybe want someone else to win?
First of all, I'm glad Joy Behar, who's the least awful of those women verbally, said, well, you know, we know Joe. He's been here, blah, blah, because that's all this is. They all are in the club together, and they protect their own. So they have a different vantage point of this because it's somebody they know. It's Joe Biden, part of the club, part of the powerful elite cocktail crowd, because the media and the politicians, one's not holding the other accountable. They're in bed together. So what I think is amazing about this, they're trying to paint this. Let's talk about this specific incident. They're trying to paint this specific incident as just somebody being affectionate. You know, what did she say? He's a hands-on guy. It's not affection to meet somebody for the first time and while you're standing behind them, not in front of them. You know, you're not having a conversation with them, eye to eye, and they're saying, oh, you know, I haven't mastered this public speaking thing. I'm kind of nervous about going on stage. Okay, if he was in front of her and he put his hands on her shoulder and be like, you're gonna be great, and gave her a hug, I don't necessarily think that's so outlandish and inappropriate. If you're in front of someone, if you're having a conversation, if she's expressing if she's being vulnerable in the moment, none of those things happen. When you're behind somebody that you don't even know, that's not affection to smell their hair or put your hand on their shoulders or kiss them. It's not. It's kind of strange and it's kind of creepy. And I don't know Lucy Flores from a hole in the wall. I don't know her, but this isn't really about Lucy Flores. I'd be saying this if it was anyone else in that situation. Joe Biden has a problem with personal space, with knowing boundaries, and all you have to do is look at photo after photo after photo, which if you watch Jen's videos that she's done, I think 2 or 3 so far, as more developments have come out since Friday. Very clear. He has a thing for smelling women's hair. He has a thing for touching women on their shoulders, and sometimes, in pictures, having his hands closer to parts that your hands don't belong. If that's not someone that, put your hands, if it's your girlfriend or whatever, whatever, maybe that's between you and your dynamic in your relationship. But if it's someone you don't know, especially little children, you got to be very careful because little children can be made uncomfortable very easily. So can adults. So We'll see. I think that we're already seeing CNN as I'm recording this. I see it. Joe Biden dealing with the first crisis of his campaign. So they're making it out to be like, part of the horse race, dealing with the first crisis of his campaign. No, this is about personal space. This is about invading people's personal boundaries. And I got news for you. My political instincts aren't bad. I don't think Lucy Flores is the only person we're going to hear something like this from. Jesus Christ. Literally. Do you remember in the Joe Biden segment? Earlier, I said, be careful about saying, only one woman has come out. Breaking news just sent to me by Jen. This is from Vice. I haven't read it. I'm reading it with you. A second woman says Joe Biden touched her inappropriately. I told you this is not going to be one woman. Joe Biden touched a Connecticut woman inappropriately, including rubbing noses with her, the woman said Monday, days after former Nevada legislator said the ex-vice president gave her an unwanted kiss on the back of her head. He puts his hand around my neck and pulled me in to rub noses with me. When he was pulling me in, I thought he was going to kiss me on the mouth. Amy Lappos told the Hartford Courant. It wasn't sexual, she added. Lappos said she met Biden at an October 2009 fundraiser in Greenwich, Connecticut for U.S. Rep. Jim Himes, a Connecticut Democrat. Lappos was a congressional aide to Himes at the time and said she was in the kitchen with other volunteers when Biden approached her. There are 3 photos that show Lappos with Biden at the event, the Current reported, though they were taken before the nose-rubbing incident. I never filed a complaint, to be honest, because he was the vice president. I was a nobody. There's absolutely a line of decency. There's a line of respect. Crossing that line is not grandfatherly. It's not cultural. It's not affection. It's sexism or misogyny. Himes told the Current that he was not prepared to immediately comment. A spokesperson for Biden, 78, didn't respond to Lappos' specific allegation, but gave the Current the same statement that Biden released after Flores' allegation. I have offered countless handshakes, hugs, expressions of affection, support, and comfort. And not once, never, did I believe I acted inappropriately, Biden said. If it is suggested I did, I will listen respectfully, but it was never my intention. Folks, I got to tell you the truth. I think the gauntlet has opened. I think you are going to... I want to be clear. I did not say the gauntlet has opened in the same context of a Harvey Weinstein with all these women coming out, or a Bill Cosby, or others where there were multiple women accusing. This what is being described right now is just inappropriate touching and kissing and those kind of things. It's not what I would consider assault. But I think you're going to hear a lot more. I mean, Lucy Flores came out Friday. This woman's coming out Monday. And the point is, the key thing that this woman said, let me get her name again, Amy Lappos. Key thing she said, I never filed a complaint, to be honest, because he was the vice president. So when you have people on The View saying, well, what is she coming out 5 years later? Or, another woman said that. Why is she coming out 5 years later? Because a lot of people would be intimidated to come out against the vice president of the United States. He was the vice president in both of these instances. So it's not unreasonable that a woman would kind of be nervous or intimidated to come out against the sitting vice president. But like I said, now that Lucy Flores has come out, other women that experience inappropriate touching might come out too. Let me tell you something. You know who I rub noses with? My nephew. My mother used to rub noses with me. I don't rub noses with random women I don't know. That's crazy. So I don't have anything else to report because it's just one story. We'll see if the media picks it up. But I'm telling you, folks, this is the gauntlet. You are not going to see, this is not going to stop with Lucy Flores and Amy Lappos. I think you're going to have a lot more people coming out. And again, just my political instincts, I wouldn't be surprised if you actually have people that were former politicians that dealt with Joe Biden or current. I mean, this is not so, just look at the photos that are out there. So we'll see. And we'll see if we keep hearing, morning Mika and Whoopi Goldberg, and Jake Tapper, basically protecting the vice president. Because they certainly would not. Can you imagine if a woman came out saying Bernie Sanders got in my face and was playing noses with me, they'd be calling for him not only to step away from the race, they'd be calling to resign from the Senate.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.